Oh, good to see you. I know I've been away for a while. Issues, life things, but I'm going to try to get back on track here. Um, anyhow, today we're going to cover what is hot in the news right now because it's preliminary court time, which means this is when the prosecutor shows what they have, some of what they have to a judge. No jury, just prosecution and defense. Prosecution says, "Hey, this is what we've got." Defense can question it, and if it's enough evidence for the judge says, "Okay, we can go to court with it." As in, we got enough evidence to proceed with whatever the charges are against the defendant. So that's what's going on today, and we're getting lots of coverage. It's actually been going on the past couple of days. Today's the fourth day, Friday, the 24th of July, 2026. But anyhow, every time I try to do one of these, I've been trying to do one past couple of days, but each time I do, then there's a new update, and then a new update, and then a new update. So yeah, Friday morning, Friday mid morning, just going with what I have now, and obviously there's gonna be more to it. But anyhow, we are covering the unfortunate case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Poor little thing did not stand a chance. Her life was removed by a so-called gamer. Well, apparently he was a good gamer. Apparently that's the only thing he did in his life. Sit in his brother's closet and play games. And supposed to be a musician, although thank God for auto-tune. Anyways, this adult did many bad things to this poor lady. I do believe D4vd is a sociopath, not a psychopath, a sociopath. There's a difference. And I also think he's actually incapable of any feelings of his own. Hence why he had to steal from when he had chats and conversations or had other people, converse to him about their life stories, their love stories, or this, because he didn't have any. And he wanted to understand because he didn't know. And that's where a lot of his lyrics came from, other people. And other stuff he then plagiarizes, which we'll get to shortly. Anyhow, we're going to talk about Celeste and D4vd today, and updates on what we have, and some speculation. So, yes, please, only over 18. Because we are going to cover things that have an adult subject matter. We're going to have things that's going to have some language to it. YouTube, look out. Sometimes, language comes out. I mean, there's a list of things YouTubes don't want you to say. You can't say a kniff. You have to, and you can't say you murdered somebody because there's children at YouTube. So you have to, change things. But please, you watching, do not be children. Be over 18. And there's going to be some images. So stay over 18. If you're not 18, get out of here. Go away. Anyways, on with the show. For people who are more than 18 years old, of course. D4vd. D4vd is a AI drawing I came up with. And it really goes on in his mind. Again, my interpretation. I came up with that for him. Since he's so much into anime, I gave him his own character, which I think fits his nature so much better. I like this. This fits him very well, too. This is, of course, from the sketch artist in the court, because no cameras, no video, no audio, no nothing is being allowed to go outside of the court. We have, thank goodness, we have a wonderful sketch artist named Mona. So giving her all the points in the world because, she's the one who did it. Mona. Here we go. Her artwork. I will use a couple other frames too, but all credit where it goes. When I borrow something from somebody, I let them know. This is Mona's artwork. Thank you, Mona. Anyhow, this is how he comes into court, which is great and much deserved. Anyhow, months before, this beautiful young lady was sent off to the afterworld. Valhalla no longer waiting. Okay. The cops showed up at the D4vd's house because Celeste was missing, and they had a tip off that this is where she might be. And again, I'm not sure if the police showed the D4vd this photo or whether this is the photo the D4vd showed the police. But either way, he showed this image, said he thought she was over 18. Really. I don't think the cops bought it, but since she wasn't there, okay, there was a lot of Hello Kitty stuff, pink, etc., which was what she liked. Every time I think the D4vd is doing anything pink or in Hello Kitty, it's who is concealed hiding girlfriend, he started seeing when she was 11, and supposedly the essay began about a year or so later. Anyhow, he also, the D4vd, took her out of state to Texas to introduce her to his parents. Well, one, you're not the proper adult responsible for her. She probably did not have permission from her parents to leave the state, so you taking her out of state from California to Texas to show her to your mom and dad, and then you do adult things with, that's trafficking. That's federal. You know, that's more charges that he hasn't been gotten yet. But anyhow, hey, mom and dad, here's the 19-year-old that I'm dating. And I'm quite sure mom and dad took one look, looked at David, took a look back and said, over 18, you said, 19, you said, huh? And he's all, yeah, a couple more $1,000. Remember I owed you a couple of $1,000 for something? Oh, that's right, you did. And oh, by the way, I like your over 18, 19-year-old girlfriend, by all means. And, welcome to the family. Bullshit. They know full well this is a child. This is a child. The only way they can think she's not a child because they were getting a hell of a lot of money from the D4vd, who unfortunately also had a lot of money, several $1 million, with several more $1 million in contracts to come for his. He made a lot of money from playing 4chan. Okay, great gamer, had things made up for him that because he's so good, and it was issued into the game. All right, he's making money that way. He's also not making money as a singer songwriter. Okay, again, thank God for auto-tune. Because even when you hear him in interviews or other video with him kind of like kind of rehearsing his singing, can't hit a damn note. So how is he going to make $1 million in record contracts for that auto-tune? I don't know. But hey, people are watching, people are buying, people are interested, and he's already several million in the bank, and potentially, maybe somewhere around 10 million yet to come. Nice. Also, there was a bodyguard slash security man who lived at the house. Now, I'm not sure if it's the house the D4vd idiot was living in at the time, where he had the studio in the garage and the Tesla and whatnot, and where he partied with his friends, and where she would have been. Because if he lived there and she was there and he was there, he clearly had to go, who's the child? And then the D4vd said, oh, this is my 19-year-old girlfriend. And, the bodyguard or security guard goes, oh, pleasure to meet this young adult. Has to be. Either that or he was gone or at another house. But this bodyguard, supposedly, they've obviously chauffeured the D4vd idiot around and supposedly chauffeured Celeste around. So he had met her. And he knows, I mean, come on. He knows she is a child. So, and he knows doing what the D4vd does to this child and probably other children, considering he's shown up in young girls' video chats talking about being a gooner, which means while on video watching. And he's doing this in a video with very underage female children. This guy's disgusting. All right. I think he's lived too much in his brother's or sister's closet, doing what he, playing games and supposedly writing music. Anyhow, all right, well, continuing. Here's a wonderful Tesla, and oh, geez Louise, dude, get a hose, wash the thing. I mean, if you're not going to take care of it like that, then get a white one, because then the dirt doesn't show up as much. You get a black one, you get a speck of dirt on it, and it shows up like you wouldn't believe. Most people think you get a black one that's not going to show dirt. Wrong, opposite. White ones, you get all the dirt and just gets a little slowly softer white, no biggie. Black ones, when you put dirt on it, it looks like this crap. But anyhow, here's the infamous Tesla, which the body of Celeste had been placed in after he gave her additional ventilation holes, and she bled out slowly. Again, very cruel. And then again, also, just not to forget, the D4vd would rather watch gore, as in, like Colombian hit videos, actual images of people, like, gore. He got off on gore more than, born, like porn, corn, sorry, Netflix, or sorry, YouTube. Corn, replace the C with a P. Didn't have any interest in that. He got off on watching gore. Anyhow, I don't know how. But anyways, after he was moved to another plane, apparently he stored her in the car. Another image of the wonderful, well-maintained car. Mrs. One caught on camera as he went driving by, but as you can clearly see, dirty as fuck. And of course, he has the window down because he needs to have the window down. Okay. And same image again. Again, look how dirty it is. Look again, window. Oh my god. Oh my god. And he's got the. I mean, he's probably. It probably smells like hell when he's driving his car. Which is several days, almost like a week after he, gave her vent holes. So she'd been sitting in this car for a week or so. And then he left the car. Well, then he moved the car from where he usually parks it to a place up the street and around the corner, which they have video of him leaving the car and going back home. So they clearly know he was the last one to drive it. Plus, it's a Tesla. I mean, Teslas are your greatest ally, your worst enemy. It covers everything. Cameras all over it, like I covered in my previous video a couple of months ago. It has Wi-Fi, so there's that to be picked up. It has cell connection, so there's that to pick up. It's got GPS, probably using, the Tesla Starlink. So, I mean, this thing is a recording. You can set it up, so it knows who's in the car to adjust the seats and the mirrors and, etc. Wonderful alibi. Worst enemy in the world if you're trying to hide something. Worst car to use in a crime. Worst car to go past or be near in a crime because it may have all of its security cameras on. It may not, but you never know. You have to manually turn it. I forget. Check the original video whether you have to manually turn it on to be, in sentry mode or whether it comes in sentry mode. That's when all cameras and alerts are going on. But anyhow, if the D4vd idiot tries to claim he knew nothing about the body in a car or anything about the car, well, he's the one who drove his car up the street and around the corner or whatever and left it for several months before it got tagged and then eventually towed away to a tow yard, which is what tipped off the police of what had happened. Because, of course, the tow yard brings the car in, they go to put it in its spot, and they notice the thing stinks. I'm quite sure those who work in the tow yard know very well, unfortunately, what that smell is. It's decomp. They did not do anything more besides called the police. And the police came out. They smelled decomp. And there's lots of bugs flying around the front end of the vehicle. They call it the frunk, the front end trunk. Call it a bonnet if you went. I mean, it's the front end of the car, which there's no engine there. It's, it's a storage compartment. Trunk. I'll call it the bonnet. Under the bonnet, they opened it and found a body bag, and then they also found another bag containing more of what turned out to be Celeste. One thing they noticed about the car is it had mini car air fresheners in it. In the little vents for the air, for the blowers, the AC, hanging from the rearview mirror, placed all around the car. Like, these are going to cover for smell of decomp. Not a chance in hell. And as reported, one of them said, "Love is in the air." It's just really gross. Think about it. Anyhow, this is not the actual image of what the card looked like. This is just, again, I made it for a visual aid, but air fresheners all over the car, like that's going to help. Probably spray Lysol and everything else too. But he's an idiot. No one will know. And actually, he used to park the car before, after he ventilated her. Later that night, he took a red eye out of town. Was out of town for a while, so body was in the car's trunk, in the third row back seat, in the garage of his place, and then directly above the garages is a bathroom and a lounge area and a hangout area, living room, goof around rooms, and then above that is where the bedrooms are. But right above the Tesla, the stinky Tesla, is that area, so they can, people here can smell something funky. To which the D4vd idiot said, "Oh, don't mind the smell. I took a dump in the toilet and it's not clearing." And then just to show the wonderful ladies that he hangs around with, one of the ladies says, "Well, that's okay. I just added to it." Gross. But anyhow, people were aware of a smell coming from somewhere, and it sure as hell decomp does not smell like someone dropped the load. But anyways, she's getting pretty ripe down there. And they believe around 10 days or so is when he decided to disassemble her. Again, this is a visual aid. This is the back row, the third row in the Tesla. Up here's a driver's seat and passenger seat. Back here, here's a second row seat. Here's the third row seats, all the way in the back. And of course, when the cops found the car and you look into it and say, hey, okay, that doesn't look too bad. But then, they use the wonderful luminol, blue star, whatever you want to call it. It's a reactive agent. It detects bodily fluids, or more particularly, it detects iron, and then it will illuminate. We all know that. We've all seen. The only thing about CSI on TV is real is when they use the luminol, blue star, whatever, and they use the proper light frequency, and it goes whoop, it glows. Well, cops did that on his back seat, and whoop, it lit up like a rave party. Again, this is an actual image. This is just something I came up again for a visual aid, but that's kind of what it looked like when they put the luminol on it. Now, of course, the police and the CSI people at the time when they show up cannot say, oh, that's blood, because it's a legal system. It's the courts. You have to establish it's blood. So at this point, they can only say a blood-like substance. It has to go to the lab, or be collected, go to the lab test it, and come back and said, yes, it's blood. And also, by the way, not only was it, yes, it's blood, the DNA they got from the blood was Celeste. So that's where she was for 10 days-ish. David bought many strange things after he ventilated her. Trouble, small trouble, about yay big. A kiddie pool, which is inflatable. Several chainsaws. One of them looked like this. It was pink. Got a pink chainsaw. They found 3 of them. One of them was pink. And of course, Celeste's favorite color, pink. So, did he do this as a tribute to her before he turned her into a puzzle? Don't know. They found 2 chainsaws. Neither one of them had been used. No blood, no human flesh stuck in it, nothing. They're good. They're clean. They found the box for the 3rd chainsaw, but they never found the 3rd chainsaw itself, which is probably the one he used to do an anatomy on Celeste. Besting little fucker. In between the D4vd's trips to take care of his business, music, albums, whatever he's professionally doing, he would, at night, take Celeste and the Tesla to Santa Barbara. In the middle of the night. So an hour and 45 minutes, ballpark, to get there. And of course, another hour and 45 minutes to get back. They found Celeste's passport, Santa Barbara. Also, they found on Celeste's body, her clothing, was dirt and vegetation of some kind. Undetermined plant matter or vegetation. But, and he like I said, he took this trip 3 times. Twice very late at night, and once not so like morning or afternoon or something. But anyhow, one of the times he went, he stayed, and then came home to L.A. Now, of course, with a Tesla, it will show its trace. It'll show its path from where it went to where it went and when it went. So there's cellular evidence that car was, traveled here to there and hung about over here. And of course, the idiot's cell phone also left a path from where he went to where he went, and was picked up on cell towers, which they can triangulate on, give you a ballpark area of where it's at. And then apparently Celeste's phone was occasionally taking the same trip. Whether David was trying to, make a false trail, sent people off saying, "Oh, I don't know, he left," and then maybe they find her passport and goes, "Oh, she must have gone north." Also, apparently, maybe he used that trowel or that small shovel to try to bury her, hence the dirt and vegetation matter being found on her. And I guess either didn't dig a hole deep enough, or he didn't fit in the hole he dug, or what? I don't know. Maybe he got tired of digging, because I don't think he's used to manual labor, and probably tossed her back in the third row seat and came back home with her in the Tesla, and then, parked the Tesla out on the street because this started singing so much he couldn't have it in the house or in the garage below living quarters. Unbelievable. Now, this is what I mentioned before, the sketch artist for the course, because videos are not allowed, pictures are not allowed, anything's not allowed. Just all you can do is come in and watch and then draw pictures. And luckily, we have a wonderful artist named Mona who has provided this for us. These are individual images put together as a collage, but bags and body bags found. Here's the Tesla with the front bonnet open where they found her. Here's some, amputation of some fingers we'll cover. Here's chainsaws. Here's the kiddie pool. And keep these in mind. One of the bags had her arms and legs in it. The other bag had her torso, where she was Venus de Milo. Okay? Got it? Keep that in mind. Keep this in mind. Remember this. I mean, kind of hard to forget, but this. Well, that, and also remember she was missing a couple of fingers. We'll get there shortly. One of the things the D4vd idiot was obsessed on was manga, cartoon, or not cartoon, comic books, or illustrated annuals, or illustrated books, or illustrated manuscripts, whatever they call them. But it's anime on paper. Okay, it's Japanese artwork, and some of it can be very gory and gross, which this one is. It's MPD Psycho. This apparently was almost like his Bible, his D4 Idiot's source manual for life. To which he independently, because he liked manga and anime so much, wanted to have his own manga anime done, which he did, where he has his character that he's making up is a detective who is solving the crimes that he himself commits without knowing it, which is exactly the plot from here. Here, the detective is not aware of the fact that he's the one who just committed the crimes. So it's like by night he kills, by day he doesn't know, and he tries to solve the crime, the mystery as to how whoever was killed. Okay, interesting plot line. But he thinks that I'm original. I came up with this, and he's just plagiarizing from this blatantly, like anyone's not going to notice. But okay, anyhow, this is his Bible apparently, or stuff like this stuff. And again, remember, he's into gore. He likes gore. Now, in this manga magazine, the main character, the detective, has a girlfriend or a wife, a female significant other, who went missing, and then shows up in a box, Venus de Milo, arms and legs removed. Now, sorry, YouTube, I'm taking this down now, but okay, this is what they found. from Celeste in one of the bags, which matches how this was done in the manga. So again, remember this. This is the torso found in one bag, arms cut, legs cut at the same points as shown in his Bible, shall we say. Also, unfortunately, when they took the various body parts and put them back together, arm connect the arm with the arm should be, etc. There was missing pieces, probably chunks that, let's not get too gross, but not all of it was there. Now again, we have some important body parts missing. We'll get there. Excuse me. Now this is D4vd's garage. One of them. Like I said, there's three of them. So, 3 doors side by side, but they all have open at the same common area inside. So 2 of the bays were his workout room and game room and studio, and one of them was for his car. But this is what it looked like when you show up and look in his garage. Okay, not too bad. Looks like a typical garage, room for a car to come in, which it did. Various items. Okay, fine. Then they got out the luminol, blue star, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and it probably looked like this. Now, this isn't an actual photo of the scene. Again, this is a visual aid I created, but it too also lit up like the 4th of July. They were finding like substance that lit up on the floor, on the walls, on the ceiling, on an exercise bike, on mats, underneath mats, garbage can, and rags and paper towels in the garbage can. So again, apparently he cleaned up as best he could with 409 Fantastics, Murphy oil, who knows what the fuck he used. And then not only that, the blow up pool was here also and lit up. He left the garbage can full of rags and paper towels in the garage. I mean, you made the chainsaw disappear. Did you forget about your garbage? I mean, you should have thrown away the pool, the kiddie pool, and you should have thrown the garbage bags away with the rags and paper towels. But no, you leave them. I guess he had to go off on a flight again, or I don't know. But anyhow, dude, this is what the garage looked like. Oh, I mean, kind of. This is my visual aid here, not actual photo of the scene. Now, I was watching the BJC live show. She's a wonderful lady. She is a lawyer. I don't think she actually did a practice, but she went to school for being a lawyer and got as far as you can go in school lawyering without actually without doing actual practice, or maybe anyhow, she's a lawyer, a very smart one. Very feminine, which is, hey, more power to her. It's go with your dazzlings. But anyhow, check her out. Great show. Subscribe. Subscribe. But she mentioned something that I said months ago in my original video, which you can go back and check, verify it. She thought same thing I did, and she said it. Now, other people may have thought this too, but I said it months ago where I thought certain things were, and she said, and I just clapped away when I heard her say that, because other than myself, she's the only other person I've heard from everything I watch, and I watch a lot of this stuff. Only one besides myself who'd mentioned. Probably ate him. In his manga, the MPD Psycho. Yeah. So if he stays in character with his character, and there are missing fingers in the anime, so did someone else, and then he swallowed the fingers for power or whatever in the story. But One of the fingers that Celeste is missing supposedly was tattooed with D4vd Idiot's name on it. Probably like this finger. When he went to cut that finger off, he cut the other one out too. Kind of hard to aim with a chainsaw. But one of her fingers, one of the hands, still had the tattoo that says shh, SHHH, which D4vd also has a matching tattoo that says shh, which is SHHH. I guess I can only guess, speculate. The shh is a reference to his activities with a minor and keep it quiet. Oh no, pure speculation, but that could be what the shh is about. But I have a funny feeling if you did an X-ray, MRI, CT, whatever, on D4vd, you will find the missing fingers. I know. Now, when the Tesla was found with the body in the bonnet, the front end, and of course the car was registered to D4vd Idiot, he started divesting, taking his money, his personal accounts, his professional accounts, and moving them into shelters, moving them to his mom, transferring ownership of the house to mom, hiding money, probably Cayman Islands. Money is exiting out of his accounts into other places, disappearing. Now, I would think if I was informed that the police found a body in my car, I would be bringing resources in because I'm going to need money to go on a body in my car. If I didn't do it, I would be I need money coming in to help me financially so I can legally go and find out what's going on because I'm in trouble because the cops found a body in my car. He's doing the exact opposite. He's moving all his money out and away, hiding it, sheltering it. Not a sign of any guilt there whatsoever, huh? Just it happened to be a complete coincidence that as soon as the body was found, he starts massively moving his monies, millions, a couple million, and like I said, he had several contracts, so they ballparked it at about another 10 million potentially coming in soon. That's a good picture of him. Another good picture of him. That's him, in the preliminary hearings and court appearances. Behind bars, behind plastic. And also, during these preliminary hearings, apparently he's allowed, out to a table like a regular courtroom, but he still has waist chains and ankle chains on his ass. Good. While all this evidence is going by, he is not phased. Until the gore showed up. And they started showing actual pictures of how they found the body and what the body looked like, which had done massive decomp. Things were turning to liquid. Skin melting off people, and also people were thinking because the fingers were rippled, like as if they were in water, she must have been frozen somewhere. No, in goo, down in okay, you got it. The bags are disgusting. Body is massively decomposing, and they're showing pictures of it. Unfortunately, Celeste's parents were there and saw it. What they should have done is brought a picture with them. So when they see that gore, they look down and see an actual picture of what she really looks like. So, their memory is of what she really looked like and not that gore, which he perked up for. Of course, there's gore. Now he's interested. Until, of course, later, like the next day or so, when all the evidence is coming back in with DNA confirms it's Celeste. DNA confirms it's Celeste. DNA confirms it's Celeste. DNA confirms it's D4vd Idiots. Not so good. Apparently, he kind of started shifting around in his seat. A little more movement than he had been before. Again, I hope the parents brought a picture like this with them, so when they saw the gore, they look down and see this, immediately look at this to help take that image away. It's pretty bad. Also, unfortunately, in these preliminary hearings, there are a lot of, YouTubers, true crime people, reporters, case covers, press, people, like me, like you, doing their true crime follow-ups, and if they're lucky enough to get in to actually witness it, watch the courts, which is wonderful, which is great. Apparently there's been many of them who shouldn't be in there, or those who are violating the rules of no electronics, no transmission, no cell phones, no nothing. Everything stays in the court. What happens in the court stays in the court. Well, people are violating that, so that's causing a problem. Now, are you that stupid? Are you going to violate rules which could interfere with the court? I mean, potentially, interfere with the sentencing, or what, whether he gets sentenced or not, which I'm quite sure he's going to be for trial. But if they do this shit during the trial, that could be grounds for like a mistrial because jury or witness misbehaving. The people watching doing things that they shouldn't. Which how would you like him to go free because you're an idiot and got your laptop with you and you're live broadcasting? Is your broadcast that important that you may your actions may actually benefit this slaughtering fucker? Also, there are people showing up who are potential witnesses or are witnesses, and you can't show up and watch the court if you're a witness or potential witness. You kind of have to hide away and pretend you're not hearing anything. Now, after you testify in court, you can then stay and watch because you've said your piece and you're not going to be influenced because you said what you're witnessing. But before that, you cannot be in court watching. You're not supposed to be sitting at home watching. If you're a potential witness, you stop watching media, you stop paying attention, you stop everything. You're not allowed to really do that or really talk about it much because you're a witness. But anyhow, these people are, people, like me, like you, YouTubers and TikTokers and tweeters and etc. Instagrammers who want to get their story. Okay, they want the popular likes, they want, the hits, but don't jeopardize the court hearings because you want, a couple more members. Seriously? Are you that stupid? Yeah, apparently some people are. Anyhow, unfortunately, this is where we're at with the case. I'm quite sure they have proved enough to the judge to actually going to court to nail this asshole. Currently today, the coroner, medical examiner, is testifying. I haven't heard anything, no updates on that. But of course, as soon as I publish this, there'll probably be feeds on what the ME and coroner said, which is probably that, yeah, it's her, identified via dental, and that she was ventilated and fingers are missing, but she wasn't recognizable. They found her. They had to use dental records. So just think more of this. There's this beautiful young child got involved with a guy who's a pedophile. Sorry, a child essayer. Well, I think I already said it that he even in his videos he showed up in a chat room with young girls, 10 years old or whatever, and it was doing the I'm a gooner video with them, talking to them, video chat wise. So here's an adult saying I'm a gooner and whatever else he said to these young children. And a gooner means it's somebody who does this while looking at pictures. So he's a gooner looking at and talking to 10-year-old girls. I really wish castration, well, more than castration, flip everything for people who do that. But again, let's hope he gets what he deserves. He's potentially into life in prison or possible death sentence. Uh, well, this is California, so if he gets a death sentence, he's going to die of old age because California doesn't. We have it in the books, but we haven't, offed anybody in years, and no one wants to. The governor is too much of a. Never mind. So the odds are, if he gets the death sentence, he'll die of old age in prison, and if he gets life in prison, then he gets life in prison. Hopefully, that's what he gets. Hopefully, the other people in prison um, show their dislike for pedophiles, essayers of children. Hopefully, but okay, we'll wrap this one up. It's probably gone way too long than I thought, way more than I expected. I tend to yap, but so yeah, so that's what the whole point is. Guys, if you wouldn't mind, tips are welcome. I will later show some more ways to help. Um, I am in, I hate. Okay, I'll have to, I'll do it. I'm really short. I got PG&E, threatening to turn my power off, and my cable bill and several others. And rent. So now I got Venmo. I got Buy Me a Coffee. I've got PayPal. Yeah, PayPal. I think set up in there. So if there's something you can do to help, thank you very much. I'd really appreciate it. I do put a lot of work into these. Like I said, this is like the fifth taking of this, so it's taken a while. But yeah. So if you can, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Behave yourselves out there, and may your God go with you. Devils.